Hello, welcome to the L Zone podcast with me, Latricia Marie, coming to you tonight about a topic about marriage and kind of like the stereotypes of marriage. This is like my second marriage, so I don't want to say I'm an old person to the game because there's no way I know what the heck I'm doing in a marriage. But I just wanted to bring this topic and maybe you all can bounce some stuff off me and maybe think about stuff in your own life if you're married, if you're thinking about marriage, whatever. But I wanted to just bring this topic up because something happened. Me and my husband were having a conversation and we were around some people. We observe a lot, and I was just like, man, no one tells you what marriage is. You kind of just filling it out for yourself, but the stereotypes that come with it. And I was just going through a list in my head and it just came to me. I was like, I'm finna write this down because I can't be the only one that thinks this stuff after you've been in something and then it's not what everybody said it was, right? So again, got my 3 points. So my first point I thought about, wrote down was, what does society tell us marriage is supposed to be? And what does your family tell you is supposed to be, your friends, or just observing people in your family and friends, how their marriage dynamics are and how different it is once you do get married. It is not what you think it is. For me, I know it was basically once you graduate, hopefully a guy finds you and you want to settle down, get married, have some kids. Your role is to clean, cook, take care of the children, and no one kind of tells you about how to deal with the person, like what actually goes on in the day-to-day besides pay bills, make sure everybody eat, those type of stereotypes. In a sense, to me, I was just like, okay, my first marriage, nothing went like they told me it was supposed to go, and I found myself, okay, I guess I'm just supposed to be married to this person, take care of the child. I fall into the background, make sure, not to rock the boat. Not, I can have my thoughts, but not to where I'm over throwing the husband in the marriage of his role, which we don't. Everybody has their different roles. I understand that. But the stereotype is these are the roles you're supposed to have. But this time around, I was like, we still two individuals. And after all of our experience of life, it's like, okay, these are not what works for us. What is our thing finna be? And so it's a constant battle of what I thought it was back in the day, had to reprogram versus what it is now, and just observing how, drastic it is out here. What, the struggles people go through in marriage, hearing the certain things that men complain about, what women complain about. And it's just, everybody seems to have the same of, well, this is what he's supposed to do, this is what she's supposed to do. And that just came to my mind while I was observing while me and my husband were out that night. 2 was how different the roles and expectations were in people's mind on how things are supposed to go in a marriage. And the stereotype is, okay, I think a lot of people's list get put in the mix, which causes issues of, I want a guy that, provides, security, brings home the bacon, she supposed to watch the kids and stuff like that. Again, the roles and the expectations of, you think this person is supposed to know what your expectations are and how to meet them. And no one really told me that. So the stereotype for me was, in a marriage, I don't tell nobody my expectation. I'm just supposed to know what's expected of me as a wife, which was basic shit. No deep stuff. It was surface level stuff because no one really tells you behind the scenes of, look, everybody is their own individual person. Everybody has their own way of thinking. How do you blend the two? Is this person a cheater? Do they lie too much? Are they good with finances? Things like that. How do you deal with this person's trauma experiences? How did they process that trauma and experience to where they know how to mix with the opposite sex? Did they learn anything, or they just go with the flow with the social norm is and what their homeboys tell them, what their girlfriends tell them, things like that. But I was just like, wow, no one really tells you that. And you have the stereotype in a sense, or the social acceptance of what this is supposed to be for us, the roles and expectations. You only find out what that is once you get married with a person and you realize certain things this person isn't hitting the notes for you for as what you want, and they like, well, you're not hitting what I want, and no one's having that conversation. And I really hope people start having those conversations, if they recognize it or not, I don't know. But maybe this is the first step to make you think outside the box of, for example, if you want your husband to behave a certain way, or not behave, if you want this person to be a certain way out in public, in a situation, an event, or behind closed doors, whatever the scenario is, they don't know what you're expecting of them, but you're like, you need to start doing this, you have to change this or else. But then let's turn the mirror. He probably looking at you like, okay, I need you to change this about yourself, or hey, I really need this from you. And you like, I'm me, you gotta accept me for me. And then he like, but you just asked me in this zone, because it may not be important to him to change in that zone. He's doing it for you, but you can't change in the zone he's requiring. So just that expectation and how to still be your individual self, no one really talks about. And so I've just noticed in his second go around how to figuring out the balance and not comparing what you saw from family or friends or people how they kind of look on the outside. You don't know anything, so don't compare your spouse to another person, because this husband seems like they're on it, they providing, they're seemingly meeting their wife expectations, or they husband's expectations, things like that. Stop doing that. What works for you and the person that you're choosing at the end of the day. So that was 2, the roles and expectations, and how to stay individual at the same time trying to blend to people who have life experiences, And then the third one that I realized was a stereotype: changes and transitions in a marriage. No one talks about it. They kind of just blanket it like there's no transition or changes that happen in marriage. For as, okay, you may have met your person in your 20s or maybe early 30s. You have grown and things like that, so things have changed with you, and they never really tell you. They just tell you basically that person is who they are. You just got to deal with it. No one has a conversation of, hey, I've changed a little bit. My thoughts have changed. My concepts have changed. My views. I want to try to start a business, or I'm thinking about changing jobs and things like that. And people kind of just be like, roll with the punches. But sometimes that's not a good idea, especially if on the female side. I know what I've seen, women just kind of got to take and deal with the transitions that the male go through, but it's never reversed. So just an observation. I was just like, okay, I know I'm not the same person I was in my 20s, and even though this is my second marriage, I'm not who he met when we first started dating. How do we transition with that? Do I not tell him that things have changed? No, we have to have a conversation. Most times people in my family was like, that's not ever talked about. And I was just like, wow, okay, why don't you all talk about it? No one really likes having those type of conversations to kind of break cycles or to better one's connection for the next generation, things like that. But they never really tell you those hard conversations that need to be had. Changes and transitions happen all the time. We accept it in friendships most of the time. I've heard so many women and guys talk about how they do not connect with people that they grew up with, or long-term friends kind of falling off. But then I hear about people that they have been able to transition better with. So why is it not the same in a marriage? Why is it harder to transition and accept the changes that are going on if you all keep the connection open and communication open? to accept those things, because they only gonna make you better. Now, if it's this person want to go on the street and do the stroll and go, or sell some stuff on the corner, then no, I of course not. But if it's a transition for them to grow and be better, why not? But I just, in observing a lot and talking to people, I realized that there are a lot of misconception about marriage. So my takeaways are questions to ask yourself. Why do you want to get married? What is the reason why you want to marry this a person, whoever you with? Not just anybody, but the person that you with. What is it that they bring out of you? Because in a marriage, they're going to be your mirror self, and they're going to either bring out a lot of things that you need to work on, push you to do better. It's going to be, rocky sometimes. I don't know if that's rocky or not, but whatever. But are you able to deal with that roller coaster? Why do you want to get married to this person? Then two, okay, if you do get married to this person, what does that look like? What is the common goal for you all in the marriage? What do you want to what do you all want to build in this connection? Sometimes I think we should take out the word marriage and just focus on the connection itself, because title seems to put a little bit more burden on it. But that's my opinion. I'm still not used to people saying, "Oh, you married," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, because I have to remind myself that that's how they identify that I'm with this person now. Even though I'm like, this is my husband, yeah, we're in a connection. I'm more concerned about the connection and what are we building instead of the title, because I don't want to get caught up in it. That's just me though. But then the third thing is, okay, how do we want to move in this marriage? What are the expectations? The roles and things like that. I think that's important to talk about. If this is the person that you're considering marrying, even if you are married right now, and you just think about what kind of conversation do you all have. If it's surface level, the day-to-day social conversations that people be like, oh, we need to pay this bill. Where do you want to go to travel? Things like that. But what are you building? What is going to be built that is going to be your foundation for this connection that's going to blossom and trickle down to your kids, your grandkids, things like that. It can trickle down to your nieces and nephews and cousins around you, to where it's like, oh, that's a different type of what you normally see on TV or around people, around the people that you're with. Y'all are different. Give advice. Not all advice is good advice. I understand that. You take it with a grain of salt. But I don't give advice. I'm like, here go your options. So those are my three questions that I think everyone should ask themselves before jumping into marriage. What is it for you? And go from there. But let me know what you think about this topic. Like I said, I was just observing, and it was something that was on me, and it took me a while to bring this up, because I can go so many directions with this, and I really wish people would be more open in talking about, the stuff that is in surface level when it comes to marriages, and actually be honest with themselves and have the conversations. What's wrong with having a conversation? It may bring something that you never thought about, a view, concept, that may make you change it and be like, you know what, that don't work for me. Let me create my own thing over here with this person that I love. So let me know what you think, and just hit me up, and thank you for listening.